everyone, happy Wednesday. I hope you're all having a great week. I'm filming this on the weekend. It's really rainy and cold outside. I'm just wearing sweatpants around the house. That's what kind of weekend it's turned out to be. So I hope you had a great holiday weekend. I asked for suggestions on topics that you might want to hear about or things you might want me to discuss this week. So thank you so much for your feedback. I had a few people ask about my labor and delivery experience, and this is something I actually did want to talk about. I was sitting there in the hospital as it was happening, documenting everything because I wanted to remember. Let's get into it. Fair warning, you know what this is about. If you're not interested in this topic, if you're grossed out, if you don't want to know details, do not watch. Stop right now. I'm not going to be too detailed, but I'm going to try to give you, the rundown of what happened. I feel like my story might put you at ease if you are an expectant mom, or you are wanting to have a baby in the future and have no idea what to expect. I was terrified, you guys. I kept telling Corey, I'm like, I could die, honestly. I was just terrified. I'd never gone through it before. So the unknown was, a little daunting, but this is what happened. My water started breaking on Haley's due date, August 15th. Started breaking. Yeah, I know that sounds weird. In the movies or TV shows, it looks like a huge gush. Oh, sorry, that's disgusting. But that's usually not what happens. It's like little by little. That started happening. I called the hospital, and the doctor that was on call at the moment said, okay, hang out, don't rush, come to the hospital when you have contractions that are closer together. And I didn't have any contractions at that point. So I'm like, okay, take a shower, get my bags ready, and we just sit there and wait. So Corey and I are basically sitting on the couch for a very long time. It turned into a very long time because absolutely nothing was happening. And of course, that night I didn't sleep because is something gonna start happening suddenly? I was scared of having a baby in the car or something. So I wanted to make sure I had plenty of time when we got to the hospital. So next day comes, still nothing happening, and I call the hospital again. This time there's a new doctor on call at the time. And he's like, oh yeah, you have to come to the hospital right now. It's not safe to have your water broken and then not be in the hospital because you're at risk of infection. And I was like, well, the last doctor didn't tell me that, so how was I supposed to know? We head to the hospital, which wasn't too far away, and it takes an hour and a half to 2 hours to check in. I was in no pain at this point. I had no contractions still. I was just chilling. Thankfully, because I was thinking while we were checking in, if I was in a lot of pain right now and it took an hour and a half, that would be really rough. We got in a room, they confirmed that my water had broken, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna wait and see if you start contractions, and if not, we're gonna start to induce you. They had to hook me up to an extra IV with antibiotics because my water had broken and I didn't come to the hospital right away. And so if you don't know that either about the water breaking thing, I'm here to tell you, go to the hospital. I made notes on my phone because I didn't want to forget. So we got to the hospital around 10:50 a.m. Nothing was happening. So at 4 p.m. they started giving me Cybersec, which I'd never heard of, but it's to induce labor. And they're like, maybe this is all you're gonna need and things will get rolling. And I was relieved to know that I could still eat while I was there, because I thought once you got to the hospital, you can't eat anything except ice chips. So I was happy that I could eat. We were sitting there, and Corey actually ordered everything on the menu. So he was over in the corner just chilling, eating, watching Scarface. I was like, whatever, I don't care. I was in no pain still at this point. So nothing really happened with the Cybersec. And then they're like, we're gonna have to give you Pitocin. That will try to get things going. Said something like, you might need 1 dose of it, you might need 7. And they gave me a pill every hour or something, every hour and a half, I don't remember. I ended up getting 4 pills before I started really feeling contractions. Oh, let me just say that I did a whole course called Hypnobabies. It teaches you how to put yourself in a state of hypnosis so you don't need medication during labor. I was doing an hour and a half of hypnosis practice every single day for 6 weeks straight. I was doing an online course where you answer questions and you read a bunch of stuff. But I will say, in my mind, I was still open to an epidural if I needed one. I wasn't 100% in on the Hypnobabies, which may be why the following happened. If you're induced, apparently the contractions are a lot stronger than if they come on naturally. 1:30 in the morning, I was like, yep, I'm gonna get an epidural. So I did all that Hypnobabies, and it didn't work for me. Got the epidural, which did not hurt, and the lady told me, you're still gonna be able to feel your legs a little bit when you get this. They give you a shot in your spine. But when I tell you, a minute after I got the epidural, I could feel nothing from the waist down. Absolutely nothing. So I was like, great, I'm one of the small percentage of people that's gonna be paralyzed for the rest of their lives from getting the epidural. I was freaking out. I couldn't feel anything and it was the weirdest sensation ever. Although for a moment I was like, man, I wish I could have had this when I was doing the prom on Broadway because my legs hurt so much from climbing all those stairs. Like this would have been heaven. Anyway, I also had like uncontrollable shaking from the epidural. My whole body was like shivering. They were trying to have me hold like a peanut ball, like laying on the side between my legs. It's like this big old thing, and I couldn't do it because I couldn't feel anything, so I couldn't keep the tension to hold the ball there, if that makes any sense. So that was all kind of weird. The contractions are getting stronger, but of course I can't feel them. They can keep track on the little monitors and everything. One thing that I thought was kind of funny is they keep track of the baby's heart rate too, and they're like, man, your baby's like not taking a nap, like not sleeping. She's like partying in there the whole time. Like they can tell by the heart rate. So I thought that was kind of funny. The next day, which mind you, water started breaking on the 15th. Didn't have her till the 17th. So all that time, yeah. Finally, the next morning, 9 a.m., they're like, hey, you're ready to push. Like, can you feel anything? And I was like, no, I can feel nothing. That's gonna be a little tricky for pushing because you have to kind of feel to know when you're ready to push the baby out. The nurse is like, okay, well, we're just gonna do some practice pushes and like see how it goes. First of all, I thought the doctor came in and delivered the baby, but basically the nurse says the whole thing until the last 2 seconds. She like calls the doctor in and she's like, okay, last push, let's go. And like the doctor just pulls the baby out. And I was surprised by that. I pushed for like 30 minutes, couldn't feel a thing. The only thing that helped me was to think about squeezing my abs in as hard as I could, and that was really helping. What they were telling me to do was not helping me, so I just thought about squeezing my abs, and that helped. They weren't even like, oh, your baby's almost here. They're just like, push, 1, 2, 3. Oh, here's your baby. I didn't feel anything. And the nurses were like, don't tell anybody that because that's not normal and everyone's gonna be like mad at you because most people feel it. I was like, well, okay. After that, I had the little Haley. I was so exhausted. I hadn't slept in 2 days. I will say the first night they offered to watch the baby for you a little bit, take it and sleep, because the second night you will not sleep. You will not sleep. The second night they say is like really rough because the baby's up a lot and you're exhausted as it is. So sleep that first night. Take it from me. Recovery wasn't bad for me. I almost didn't even take the Tylenol or whatever pain reliever they offered me when the epidural wore off. Like I felt pretty okay. I mean, I didn't feel amazing like I could go run a marathon or anything, but I was like, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be. I think me working out the entirety of my pregnancy was really helpful. The one thing that sucked, I mean, I was really tired obviously the first week, but I had a horrendous headache for almost the whole first week of Haley's life. And I'm not sure if that was from the epidural. I know that's a side effect that can happen, or lack of sleep, all of the above. I mean, it was bad, a really horrible headache. I mean, the second day I got home from the hospital, I was like running up and down the stairs, like doing laundry and things like that. So, I mean, I envisioned it being much worse than that, and I feel like I got really lucky. I also wanted to mention that one of the things I was a little worried about is I'd heard people have an experience where they get an epidural, but then the epidural runs out and they don't have any painkiller thing going on when they have to deliver. So I was kind of scared that would happen, but they gave me this little button that if I needed more of the epidural, I can just push it and it would just flow right to me. So I kind of don't understand how that happens when the epidural runs out. Maybe they've changed things now and it's not possible anymore, but that was one thing. Also, right before I had Haley, and like the nurse was like, oh, she has blonde hair. And I was like, what? I was so confused at that point. I was like, how does she possibly have blonde hair? That was just something I remember. And I wrote down a couple of things that Corey was saying in the background. First of all, he couldn't look at anything during the whole process. He's the type of person that will pass out at the sight of anything gross. So he was like facing the back wall and like trying to hold my hand, which was pretty funny. Basically every time a nurse walked into the room, he was like, so when's this gonna happen? When's the baby gonna be here? And of course no one knows. They're like, well, we don't know. But he asked it almost every single time. I also wanted to mention I did have to give birth wearing a mask, which was actually, I mean, I said that like pain was not, you know, the pain wasn't bad, thankfully, but it was still exhausting to an extreme. And having the mask on, I know it sounds silly, but I really couldn't breathe. I thought I might pass out from not being able to breathe, but I did it. So that was interesting. Corey kept talking about how he was bored. He was sitting in the corner. He's like, I'm bored. One of the quotes from him I didn't want to forget. He said, I'm sorry you're going through this. I'm gonna spoil you for the next 6 months. And I'm glad I'm looking back at this now because I don't think that he did that. So I'm gonna have to bring it up again and see what he wants to do moving forward. He also likes to joke with everybody. And if you don't know him, you might not know he's joking. So the lactation consultant came in and Corey's like, so what's the deal with drinking and breastfeeding? Because she brought 6 wine bottles with her to the hospital, which I'm not like that. Like, I don't even drink that much, but the lady doesn't know, and she was like, oh, we can discuss that. We can discuss. I was like, Corey, so embarrassing. I feel like that's the gist of the experience. You know, no matter what, it's gonna be wonderful at the end because you'll have your precious little bebe. You kind of don't know what it's gonna be until you're there. Moms are amazing, superhuman, superheroes, and I wish you the very best experience if you're gonna go through this at all anytime soon or in the future. To the moms out there that have done natural childbirth or prefer natural childbirth, I think you're all superhuman superheroes. I think that's absolutely incredible. I would get an epidural again, even though it scared me. I think it was a good idea for me. Yeah, I would recommend it personally, but that's just me. No matter what you choose is perfect for you and your baby. Thanks for listening to my story, everyone. I will see you next week. This is the same day that I recorded the other part of the video, but we had a mishap with the shirt, so I changed.
Are you recording right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone peed on her shirt.
It was Corey.
R. Helly.
Huh?
Like R. Kelly. R. Helly.
Did he pee on people?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely not leaving that in. Did you think the hospital experience and all of that, was that what you expected? I mean, it's hard to know what to expect.
No, the hospital was intense.
How so?
No, like, what I expected was, like, in a room with multiple people assisting during labor, and it's just me, you, and some random lady we'll never see again that wasn't a doctor.
She was so nice, this really nice nurse. I said that earlier, it was surprising that the doctor comes in for the very last second, and then
that's it. Hey, you know, see you later.
I remember you saying when everything was happening that you felt bad for me and you would never make me go through that again.
In heavy emotional states, people sometimes say things that are a little bit, excuse me.
So you're saying that you didn't mean that?
No, I mean, it's, if you didn't want to do it again, I would say, okay, that's fine.
Even though whenever people come to the house, you're like, this is the room for our son.
Well, you know, I can't help but being optimist.
Okay, do you think men can go through that?
Nope.
Absolutely
no
not.
chance.
Let's explain why you felt the need to talk about how bored you were the whole time.
I was bored because we were both just sitting there. We weren't in the act of contractions. We weren't in the act of anything. We were just sitting there.
We did wait for a while.
And I must say, like, the maternity ward was okay, but in the labor room, I was on a couch.
He was uncomfortable in there, you guys.
And it was not comfortable.
Oh.
And I had a sheet.
He had, oh wait, are you really?
It was cold. I was cold that whole night because the air conditioner was right above me.
Okay, you can't go into all this when I was the one going through everything. Like, you're not allowed to complain.
Did I complain when I was there?
Yes, you did, and you're complaining now.
I said I was bored. It's a testament to how much I sucked it up.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's talk about how they gave us the option to use a mirror.
I knew that going in to say no to that. So I had been prepped. I knew it was something in the closet. I said, you can keep that in there. Yeah,
they have a closet, and they're like, there's a big mirror in there if you want to see everything happening. We're both like, no, no. Not for us. Maybe it's for you, and that's fine.
If it is for you, you're wild.
No, if it is for you, then that's fantastic and great. That's not for me. I probably would have passed out. That's just me.
Same.
So, did you have a good experience? Did you have fun?
I mean, you kind of forget how stressful it is the longer the time goes.
And it hasn't even been that long.
So if you did this 9 months ago, I was still like, man, poor Becca. But now it's like...
Now he's like, she can do it again, no problem.
No, I don't say that.
Yeah, you do.
I would like to think it, but I didn't have to go through it, which is very,
Not to mention, pregnancy itself is a whole thing, too. It's all a lot.
But you kind of liked it.
No, I didn't.
You said you liked some.
No, that's a whole other video. Some women love being pregnant, and I think that's amazing, but that is not me.
You did like the second trimester, you said.
No, I didn't like it.
You said you enjoyed parts of it.
No.
You said you didn't feel stressed.
Oh, yeah. The good thing about pregnancy is I've never felt more calm in my life. Other than that, we gotta watch Mayor of Easttown tonight. We're gonna go rewatch the earlier episodes.
Little Corey, 2022.